Should I give you the head now for the AQUANO commercial? Yeah, going live. Yo. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Mm-hmm. Yo. What's going on, sports family, man? And we back at it again with another episode of Micah and Friends. And today, it's the La Familia in the building, man. We got every head here. Nigga, we loaded today. This is a packed house, full house. We got the guys here. We got my brother Nate checking in from the West Coast, a.k.a. the Best Coast. What's going on, bro?
Man, living, man. Good to see y'all. It's been a few weeks, but glad we back at it. NBA trade season. So, March Madness, we got a lot to get into.
Yeah, let's get it. And we got my guy Amir checking in all the way from NY. What's going on out that way, homie?
Man, doing all right. It's raining like cats and dogs outside, but everything's copacetic.
Hey, you gonna have to start like naming each one of your hat. Like, what is that? An Astros hat? Like, bro, this nigga has the most hats ever, nigga. Like, I've never seen.
I'm trying to do a different fitted every pod. I think I'm like a couple weeks strong, so we gonna see.
How many fitteds do you? I guess we'll see how many fitteds. I ain't even gonna add you. I guess we'll see how many fitteds you have. Then we got my bro Jay Cott checking in. HU's on, NBPA's on, Georgetown's on. He was right there with Ewing when Ewing got rejected. My God, God, what's going on, man? You good?
What's up, man? Yes, sir, man. Everything good, man. Hey,
man, easy. Man, good to see you in the building.
Yes, sir, man. Talk some good chat.
Easy, man. Let's go ahead and get it started. First, man, make sure you all go over to National Sports Chat. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, follow the page and all that. Make sure you go over to Micah and Friends podcast on IG. Make sure you like, comment, and do everything of that sort. Follow our personal IGs. Make sure you go over to the TOV Sports. This whole podcast is being brought to you by and produced by TOV Sports. And make sure you go over there and check out AQUANO Hydrate, man. Go in there, get in that inbox on IG and order you a case of this, man. Even when I went to go get my smoothie today, man, I had to tape it off, no free promo. You feel me? I had to come in there with my own bottle of AQUANO, and I said, "Hey, this what you use as the base. Don't use nothing else." You feel me? So, hey, this is a AQUANO smoothie right here. So this is a first one and only. But man, let's go ahead and get it going, man. We got a lot to talk about. I'm excited. I got all the guys in the building. Let's go, man. I swear. Let's go ahead and get rolling with Blake Griffin, man. We got Blake Griffin. I need to know, do y'all think he back? Because the first basket he got in the Brooklyn Nets jersey was a dunk after being dunkless for 2 years. So I need to get y'all reactions on that and just the Brooklyn as a whole. I'm going to start it off with Nate, man. What's your thoughts?
Man, I don't know what we're defining back as, but he got a dunk. He's 6'9", he's 6'10". I mean, how much clap you want me to do for him to get a one leg jump? You know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm happy he's back. He's playing. I haven't really seen too much of him. I can't really give too much judgment on how big the fit is right now because Kyrie didn't even play last night against Portland, but. I mean, the Nets, I got to give Jay Harden his credit. Jay Harden, man, I've been very critical of Jay Harden so far. But, he's doing his thing over there in Brooklyn.
Mhm.
Like, you know, he's playing some beautiful basketball. He's really distributing the ball, even with KD when he plays and when Kyrie gets in. Like, you know, he's really making plays. So, you know, I can really see him being in the MVP conversation. I don't think the voters will do it because you kind of came a little late to the situation. You're playing with Kyrie and KD, but considering all the inconsistencies they've had this year, you know, he definitely deserves some of that love. So I definitely got to give credit where it's due. But yeah, Blake, I mean, I guess he back, you know, he playing. So let's see what he can do.
Yeah, man, Amir, let me get your thoughts on this. I know we talked briefly about just Brooklyn acquired the acquisition of Blake last week, but let me just get your thoughts on do you think he's back and what's next for Brooklyn, man? I seen some today that JJ Redick is off, but it's pretty much he signed. You know what I'm saying? So let me get your thoughts just on all that.
No, I think Blake is energized as opposed to being back. I think winning cures a lot of things.
That's
when
a good
you wake
point.
up every day knowing that
Very true.
you're in the thick of things, you're the highest rated team on the pace to go to the finals. You're playing with 3 other superstars. You're not expected to carry the load. You're able to. He's developed a 3-point shot, which he did not come in the league with. He's really there just to block shots, get dunks, and really help fortify that potential 6-7 man coming off the bench. I mean, I think that's more of what it is. He came from an area where went from literally being the worst team in the NBA to the best team. I mean, I think it's more so that, but I'm happy for him. I think we were talking about it last week. I'm glad that some of the guys that we looked up to and thought were these crazy athletes when we were younger are still playing. It's not just the young guys that all the young kids know. So I'm happy. I think in the midst of Brooklyn specifically, I think this is what they need. I think they're looking further along, looking further ahead. I think he has the body and build to go up against somebody like a Ben Simmons. He can definitely guard the top 2 players in Boston. I think he can definitely, if you can put him and interchange him with, you don't think so?
No,
I feel like
he's
never
been a wing defender. He's never been like that elite of a defender. And you know, I could say that just being a Clipper fan back in the day. Blake, you know, he's athletic to your point. He will block shots and like protect the rim, but I'm taking Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown in that one-on-one situation. Taking him to the 3-point line. Yeah,
I agree with you.
He's a barbecue.
I think Tatum is overall top 5 scorer overall. I don't think he really top him aside from the top list, but I think he fulfills what they didn't have initially, where they had nobody on the team who could even remotely be willing to guard him aside from the league.
He forward depth for sure.
Yeah, so now you have somebody who's at least willing and has the body type to go pound for pound with them, even if he can't necessarily start. He can at least try and slow them down. Because point wise, they're gonna run with anybody. So I'm happy for him. I'm glad he's on a team where he's able to, you know, a lot of the hard work of being in Detroit is gonna kind of pay off, and now he can kind of sit back and ride this wave. So yeah, I'm happy. I think he's more energized than anything. He's not going to be no top 10 player. He's not going to leave here and be a franchise piece somewhere else. I think he's going to kind of fit in this role of possibly being a starter, fringe 6-7 man, and that's kind of going to be it.
Yeah.
Whatever. Kot, let me get your thoughts on this, man. I need to hear what you think about what's going on in Brooklyn. Just the mesh with all the players so far, even though they've been on the floor together a limited amount of time, but just as a team, you know, just all around how they been meshing on the court. That's crazy. It seemed like Blake came back and got to dunking like that. But let me get your thoughts just on everything, bro.
Man, we are live out Brooklyn, baby. That's all I gotta say, man.
Okay.
I mean, Blake Griffin, as far as being back, he's not going to be the Blake Griffin of old. But I do like how his game has evolved as he's gotten older. No, he's not as athletic, but he is starting to expand his game as far as shooting threes and handling the rock. He was a little injury prone when he was in Detroit, but when he did play, I thought he played very well, hitting game winners, just making, you know, big time plays. And I mean, so like I said, I wouldn't say all the way back, but he is the perfect fit. Perfect role player that we need in Brooklyn. Somebody who I wouldn't start him necessarily, bring him off the bench. He can still ball. Veteran, brings you, good size. So I really like the acquisition, man. I mean, as far as Brooklyn, like James Harden, I think he is the MVP right now, the way he's playing. I mean, KD's out. Oftentimes Kyrie is hit or miss, but he's been the consistent guy that's always been there and putting up crazy numbers. Efficiency is out of the roof. Stat sheet stuff. So I really like what's going on in Brooklyn. And did you say that JJ Redick was about to sign?
Yeah, they it's breaking news. Word. Like right now, they expecting a buyout with the Pelicans. So they going for it, bro. they going all in. I can say that, bro.
Man, that would be crazy. Hey, you might as well just hand us a chip if we do that. But hey, I
can say this though. You was a believer in Steve Nash early on too. So I give you that.
Yes. So Steve Nash, like I said before, he's an all-time great point guard. Point guards, they carry the highest IQ on the court. Everyone knows that.
Facts.
IQ is out of the roof. And half of coaching is just being personal and relating to your players. These are highly skilled individuals that he's coaching. So, in a role like that, you want to allow some freedom as well, but also a level of respect where if there is something going wrong, they can take his advice. And I think that's what's happening in Brooklyn right now. We got a group of hungry guys, and I will say I want to give a shout out to Claxton Young, and I'm very impressed with his development and how he's playing. Long, athletic, young, big, who likes to run the floor, rebounds, block shots, catches alleys. So, hey man, I'm loving what we're doing in Brooklyn right now, and we just gotta keep it going. Hopefully, KD can get back soon, but no rush. That's the good part of being about having such a talented team.
Hey, Kai, I got a question. How much of this offense do you give credit to D'Antoni? Because I feel like Jay Harden doing the exact same thing he was pretty much doing in Houston. Now he just playing with better players. Like he is playing more of a facilitator, but still getting his 30 points. Still averaging over double-digit assists. So it's like, is he just playing with better players now in D'Antoni's system? Because it's like it kind of looked very similar to me. Maybe a little less threes because Kyrie's a mid-range player, but is it? What you think about that?
I definitely will give credit to D'Antoni. He's definitely, you can tell his methodology is definitely having an effect on the team. Ultimately what it is you spread it out. When you got talented players like that, like you said, it's just more talented players. So it's a mono league nowadays. Anyway, that's what the fans want to see. And like you said, it's higher caliber players on the net. So essentially, yes, it is the D'Antoni system. Space it out, allow them to get paint penetration, and we driving and kicking if need be. If not, go get a bucket, Harden. So it's definitely that. You can't really do too much. I wasn't even sophisticated too much with the level of talent that they have. They got bucket getters, so you got to allow them.
Sure.
So definitely D'Antoni. Of course, they brought him there for a reason. You know what I mean? So his imprint is definitely having an effect on the offense. But hey, I'm excited, man. We rolling without KD, and KD, he's the ultimate guy. Like you don't got to worry about him coming in hunting shots. He's the ultimate easy money sniper. Like
easy money.
He's gonna play his role. He's gonna shoot 13 to 15 shots a game and end up with 30 points every night. So and he's proven this year as well that he doesn't mind taking a step back if another guy on this team has the hot hand. He proved that in Golden State as well. So, hey, man, we're putting together a real dynasty in Brooklyn, man. Catch me courtside at the Barclays as soon as that they open back up.
Man, I think Blake. If I don't know, I can't say Blake is back, but like Amir said, I feel like he's definitely energized, and now we probably gonna. Well, I wouldn't say the best version of Blake, but the happiest version of Blake. You know what I'm saying? Like post lob years, because now even on the last podcast, I was saying he's like the 5th or 6th option. He's the 7th option now if Redick end up falling through. You know what I'm saying? So it's like he's really gonna serve no purpose, but just another good body there. You know what I'm saying? That could be a good. I'll say I wouldn't even say a vet presence because they don't even need that because they got some guys that's in there that's already tried and true, especially in that locker room. But like I said, man, Blake, this is just another just a good opportunity for him to get one. You know, a lot of guys, you know, he probably came to grips with it a couple years ago. Like, man, I'll probably won't ever get a chip, man. I'll probably just keep stretching my days out and getting this bag wherever I'm at. Like, he was in Detroit making like 20 something. So, you know, 30.
Clippers traded him. He had that max contract with the Clippers. He just signed it. And then they traded him the summer after he signed it, 5-year deal.
Yeah. Yeah. So you know, like he's just, I feel like he probably just the happiest that he could be because at this point in time, you know, you walking into a chip. And speaking on James Harden play, you know, Nate, like you were bringing up, I feel like, you know, this is the best situation for Harden to be in general because Harden don't need everybody to play every night with him. He don't need KD or Kyrie on the floor. This is the perfect thing. He's a regular season champion. He do this shit. Like this is what he bought. So seeing him drop 25 and 17. Now I can't say the assist is like getting crazy because it's like he would pass, but in D'Antoni's system, he just, and I feel like he probably humbled himself a little bit more because he got guys with him now, like real deal.
He's playing with better players, so now they make more shots.
So he passing more. So I say he passing more and making, being more of a pass first guy. But I feel like, this is the best situation for them. And I think that the team is going to be hard to stop them, bro, because they're going to have a lot of bodies that they could throw everywhere. But now my biggest question to all of y'all is how long do you think this is going to last? Now, I know like the JJ Redicks, the Blake Griffins and Jeff Greens and stuff, those are interchangeable pieces. But as far as the nucleus of this, I'm talking about KD, Harden, and Kyrie. How long do you think that trifecta will last?
I mean, I personally think it depends on the success. And for a guy like Harden, I know he sacrificed all that money in Houston. He's not there just for one ring. Like he's in there for the long haul. So is KD and Kyrie. And all. I think that those are guys who
they got like 2 more years left on their contract because they did like a 4-year, didn't they?
I don't know the specifics of their contract.
KD did a 4-year.
But I mean, when you look at those guys, all of them are making money from all different places, not just their league contracts. Yeah. They would be, if it comes time to renew their contract, I think that they'll be willing to, take a pay cut if need be in order to stay in that situation. Harden already proved that he would. Like he turned down all that money in Houston just to get out of there. KD, I feel like KD and Kyrie would as well, just because of, like I said, endorsements, and they're getting money from a lot of different places, so money isn't the issue. I think all three of them love basketball, and I think it depends on how successful they are, and I think it's going up, like I said. So I think we can see this nucleus together for at least 4 to 5 years, if I had to call it.
Damn. And I know I just asked the question, but sometimes I just be thinking of a lot of shit. But do you think guys like playing with KD more than LeBron? Or is it like 50-50? Because I feel like it's probably like 50-50. Like, I think KD bring him in, bro.
It depends on your plan. KD brought him into this situation, but he went to the other situation to play. So, in this specific situation, he did bring him in. But, I don't really know too much about that. Like, I can't really say. But I will say that, like, to Kot's point about the 4 to 5 years, I think that's a long time for modern-day superstars. I don't see that situation working for 4 to 5 years. Personally, I don't think they'll ever have beef with each other. But, you got to look at Kyrie. He may want to go somewhere and be like, all right, maybe at a certain point, I kind of want to do my own thing. Like, he's still kind of young. So, I don't see it 4 to 5 years, especially with their health, like in injury history. Like, I hope KD stays healthy, but like with his recent injury history, who necessarily knows? Same with a dude like Kyrie. Jay Harden is more of like an Iron Man. He played a lot of games.
Kyrie, you gotta factor that in too.
But I don't see, dudes taking pay cuts. Kyrie's still in his prime. I mean, I wouldn't take a pay cut in my prime. Winning championships is cool, but that's usually why the championship dynasties kind of, end up fizzling out because dudes want to get paid. But I think they got another 3 years in them. It all depends on how the championships go. Like if they somehow don't win it this year, which I think they should, talent-wise, but not everything always happens the way you think. But if they get the chip this year, I think they'll stay together at least another 2 or 3.
Damn. Amir, what about you? How long do you think this will last and why?
I'm not too sure of a number. I think 3 to 4 at most. I think the big factor that's going to decide how long they last is really how long the third person can stand behind not getting credit for the success of the team. I think right now, all 3 of them have things to prove. I think all 3 of them have points to try and make. And I think if they end up winning a championship this year, I think that expedites the number and how they win or how they lose. I can easily see somebody like Kyrie saying, I came here not to be a 3. And then all 3 seem to in some way, shape, or form be affected by what social media says, especially our man KD. I can easily see one of them saying like, hey, I signed up to really be the 1A to the situation. And I'm really a 2 or a 3 in certain situations, and I'm not really okay with that. So I don't know. I think it really just depends on how long they're okay with playing as a team, which to be honest, is kind of outside of how the NBA kind of runs. You kind of have 1 or 2 stars that are openly the stars and no one unequivocally questions that. And then you have everybody else who kind of follows suit until it's time to get paid. So yeah, I don't know. I think that they're definitely going to be high-powered, focused, locked in this year. I think next year, within the first full year of everything being hopefully, God willing, back to normal and really get things cracking, I think it's going to be good then. But I think then at the next point, how healthy is everybody, to Nate's point, and then really just how long they're willing to kind of play this pecking order of things, because I think that's the biggest factor with those 3. You just don't know how they're going to feel emotionally coming into the months.
Yeah, I think, just as speaking on long term, they'll be all right. Like, I feel like Kyrie knows, like, hey, man, anytime you feel like you want to just hang it up, it's cool. We'll still do this without you. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely think, it's some checks and balances there. But I think about 3 to 4 years, because I really don't see Kyrie and KD trying to be any more on the move right now. Like, I could see Harden probably trying to move again, but I don't know if guys just want to keep moving. Like, I know we're in a newer age of basketball and everybody not locking down on one team like how they used to, but I feel like guys, the later they get on in their career, they don't want to I can't see that. The later they get on in their career, they don't want to keep changing locations and stuff like that and destinations. And I also feel like that I feel like Nash is in a good spot too. And I know we talked about this earlier, like in the earlier podcast, as a coach, just because nobody, and I feel like this would go down in history. Nobody has ever walked into a situation this perfect. And I get it, like it's just the luck of the draw. But I feel like if he fails, like multiple times, like I feel like people will give him a bypass for the first year. And I don't even know if people give him a bypass for the first year just because how loaded they are. But if he fails at this, I was over with. It's over with.
Real quick,
he's comfortable. He's comfortable right now, but we haven't gotten to the playoffs yet. So that is one thing that we got to keep in mind.
Great point.
Like he hasn't coached the playoff game just yet, so we got to see how this playoff execution is. I think they'll be fine, but playoffs are when like major adjustments begin to happen. So I haven't seen them just yet. I've seen him coach pretty well this season so far. Just put it in your best player's hands, let him go score. But playoffs are a little different story. So I think we got to give until then. But he's comfortable right now, but it is a lot of pressure once winning time comes around. So we got to see how he responds.
Yeah, that's a fact. We've been on this one a long time. Let's go ahead and roll over to the second one, man. The second biggest thing that's been happening is, that's been keeping everybody worried is LeBron's injury, man. I want to get you all's thoughts just on the Lakers. Are they going to be able to steal? It's some people saying that they won't even make it to the playoffs now because they have LeBron being down for a month. I know in pre-production, Nate and Kot, y'all was saying
Western standings real quick. I think they're definitely making the playoffs. Still.
I think the third.
Yeah, they're fourth. They're fourth right now.
Yeah,
they're like 4.5 games ahead of eighth. I think maybe 5.
Yeah. No, I think they're gonna be okay to get to the playoffs. I think it's twofold. I think it depends on, number one, how severe was it? Because tell me if I'm wrong. Didn't he come back in after
he stayed in. He stayed in after the play. He stayed in after the play. Hit a corner 3, then had left after that. Like he was walking on it and kind of did a little slight jog on it.
Once your adrenaline come down, though, that's a different thing.
And they turned around and said that it was a month listed. I think he very much so wanted this year to be AD's time to say, okay, you are 1A. I will be 1B, and I'll just make sure that everybody stays in line because who's going to not listen to LeBron? And unfortunately, I think AD just kind of let that opportunity slip through his hands.
Kyrie.
But I think AD has kind of let that opportunity slip through his hands by not being physically available, which led LeBron to having to kind of kick it up a gear that he's done years prior, which I don't think he really wants to. He didn't want to play in the All-Star game. He was one of the only players who were talking about how the break wasn't really long enough coming out of the championship season. So I think in many ways, I think they're not lying or any way about his injury, but I think they'll say, if you need a month, we can give you a month. I think this team can kind of manage the load at least until it's playoff time. And then they can turn around and say, okay, we're going to, bring AD and LeBron back after a combined 3 or 4 months of 3 or 4 weeks of resting, and now they're the 6th seed, 7th seed, and now they're playing the 2nd or 3rd seed.
Fucking Utah, and they gonna wax.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
That's the great point, because the first 2 seeds in the Western Conference you're not terrified of. So somehow if the Lakers, to Amir's point, I don't think they'll fall that far. But you play Utah in the first round as an A seed. If LeBron and AD are healthy, then I think they can win that, and I don't think that should be a shock to anybody. Same if you're the 7th seed and you play the Suns, they're good. Chris Paul is really good, Devin Booker is really good, but they're not ready.
Yeah, they're not beating them.
They're not ready yet. No offense. I like watching them, but they're not ready yet. So to Amir's point, I think they'll be fine. But it is concerning that if those 2 dudes aren't healthy, they have no chance. But I do think they'll make the playoffs. But in the playoffs, Amir made a great point. He thought AD was supposed to be the 1A this year, which I thought too. LeBron's getting a little older. He doesn't play as many minutes, in the fourth quarter and stuff. They're supposed to be really running the conference, but injuries happen. But if they can't come back healthy, they don't have a chance to win the title. But if they do, still LeBron and AD, we saw what they did last year to Jokic, who was putting up MVP numbers last year. We saw what they did to Dame and Jay Harden, who was putting up MVP numbers. They might have been tired, especially Jay Harden, of the situation. But when those 2 dudes are healthy, they're a problem. So, that's really what it's all about. And I think they should play it cautious. So, like Amir said, if you need a month, go ahead and take a month. But, the other guys really got to step up, which is hard for me to believe in. I like Schroeder. I like Trez. I like THT, but can they really hold the line to maybe keep that?
Trez stepped up big in that game, the Hawks game. He ended up, even though they lost, but he ended up having 24 or something. For sure. Yeah.
But the Lakers don't want to face the Clippers in the first round. Just in terms of pure matchup, that's the seed that they should avoid. They should avoid that 6th seed just because, I think that's a tough matchup for your first round. I still think the Lakers could beat them, given AD and LeBron healthy, but, you'd rather see a team like that in the second round at least.
Yeah, and I think they'll, play their hand, I wouldn't say tank, but play down enough to get that 7th or 8th. You know what I'm saying?
But then you got to be in the play. Then you got to do the playing game, though. So you don't want that 7th seed or 8th seed.
Damn, that is
somebody
true.
Can beat you.
Yeah, that's a fact. Kyle, let me get your thoughts on this, man. Let me get your thoughts just on the injury. The Lakers, what's next for them, and will they make the playoffs, man?
One thing LeBron has proven throughout his career that he is not human. He's not like the rest of us. He is bionic. So I am not a Laker fan. I would not be too scared or worried about this injury. I mean, it's an ankle sprain. It's no ligament damage. It's nothing too serious. So I think LeBron will be back. I mean, he spends what $2 million a year on his body, trainers. He's going to do it to get back. LeBron has proven that, and I don't think this is anything that is too major. So, as far as the Lakers slipping out of the playoffs while him and AD are out, I think that they have a solid enough core, even without to not slip through the cracks that much. I mean, you have to literally just tank and lose majority of your games. I don't see
the Rockets.
Right, 20-game losing streak. I don't think that bad. So, and like I said, I wouldn't trip too much over the injury. Of course, I would say that the Lakers should give him the necessary amount of time to come back fully healthy. You don't want at his age rushing back, because you all said, if you made a great point as far as you're not really scared of the 1 or 2 seeds in the Western Conference. So if you do drop to that 7th, 8th seed going into the playoffs, then I mean those are very winnable series for the Lakers. So I don't think it's too big of a deal. It is unfortunate that they are hitting these injury spells, but it happens, and that's a veteran team. They have experience coming off a championship, so it's nothing too big. I do think that they'll have issues. I thought that they were having issues coming out of the West this year. Regardless, I think that Denver is a real threat. I think that the Clippers are a real threat. But I mean, they will have to be all the way healthy. And even before pre-injury, AD still wasn't playing to his caliber of play that they were expecting. So he's going to have to pick it up even post-injury. Overall play, and you know what LeBron brings every playoff every playoff. So it's pretty much expected. But I wouldn't trip too much over the injury. Nothing, like I said, nothing too serious. So they should be fine.
Yeah, I think they'll be all right, man. The only thing, and y'all pretty much covered everything about that. I think the Lakers will definitely be fine. It's nothing to worry over. LeBron, we already know how he come back. He's gonna come back better than ever. But the thing I just didn't like was I was so nervous because I forgot what I was doing. I'm just out and about. I'm getting text messages, bro. LeBron went down, bro. Like I get on Twitter. I'm trying to find a video. I'm seeing LeBron praying hands, and I'm like, bro, what happened? Then I watched the video. I'm like, dude, what? A high ankle sprain? Are y'all crazy?
It did look a little worse than that.
The video does look pretty bad. Like to a normal individual who's not LeBron, I think you could. I mean, it looked like some ligament damage could have been done to the knee. The way that's how it happens. I mean, guys fall.
He inverted. He inverted his ankle. He didn't necessarily sprain it. Like that's definitely not something that happens on a daily basis. Your leg isn't supposed to go that way. So it did look good because he got back on the court, but that is a tough injury, though, I will say.
It's tough. I ain't mad at the 4 weeks. I'm not mad at it. But when you get on Twitter and stuff and you just searching, and I'm like, man, guys talking about LeBron just like he just catastrophic, like on, you know what I'm saying? Even a LaMelo injury, when I seen, I'm like, damn, he out for the year for that. But I had to the risk is more, you know what I'm saying, it's more delicate than, other injuries.
And break a bone.
But
right, he actually fractured his wrist as well. So that's different.
Yeah, but I feel like for LeBron, man, like we all said, man, he gonna be back better than ever. We already know what he brings when it's playoff time. But other than people just acting like he got shot, you know what I'm saying? That was the only thing I really didn't like about it. I seen a video on Twitter. It was a wrestler, and I had retweeted it. he was talking about how he just won the state championship with no ACLs. So I'm like, damn, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, man, I don't know what's going on. I can't really act like, you know what I'm saying, send a LeBron tweet with the praying hands off a high ankle sprain, man. That's all cool. You know what I'm saying? He'll be back in a month. And I know he needed this time off anyway. I'm sure he didn't really want to be, out there giving it his full effort while AD is sitting down. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like when it is time for them to both of them to get back on the court, it'll be all good. But y'all got anything else on this?
No, I think the Lakers are in good shape. I think they're going to be in good position, and they like many teams are focused on the playoffs. I think the regular season stuff doesn't matter. He's not going to win the MVP, or I don't know if he is, unfortunately.
Not anymore.
Yeah, so I think they're going to give it. I think they're going to put somebody else in. I think it's going to give somebody like Dame.
Yeah, that's the next convo. Next topic. We about to get right to that, man. But real quick, before we get to this next topic, we got a commercial coming y'all way, and it's about to go down right now. So this podcast is being sponsored by AQUANO Hydrate. Make sure you go over there on Instagram, shoot them a DM, and let them know you want an order of a case of this water, man. And make sure you put Micah and Friends in there in the message, and you may get a discount, man. You never know. Make sure you go over there and check AQUANO Hydrate out, and let's get back to this podcast. Again, man, shout out to the AQUANO Hydrate. That's our sponsor. But let's go ahead and get into this next topic, man. Amir was just hinting at LeBron not possibly winning the MVP now. I need to know you all's MVP ladder. Like, well, not even a ladder. Who you all think is going to win the MVP, especially with LeBron going down. And a lot of people had him as the front runner. So I need to hear who you all have as you all's front runner. And I'm going to start with Cott.
Man, I'm gonna have to go with Dame Dollar, man. If I had to go my front runner, man, I think that, and the reason is because I think that he's just well deserving of it. I mean, he puts in the work. I mean, he's constantly leading that team to I believe they're top 5 in the West right now.
Yeah,
I believe so.
Without CJ McCollum for majority of the season,
6.
Okay, number 6. But his numbers are, I mean, come on, man. 30, 35, and 8, like that's ridiculous. And this is on a consistent basis. If not D Lil, I'm going Jokic, number 2. Just because I mean the man, he's a point center. He does it all for that team. He has them. What are their current ranking in the West?
They're
5th.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think that he's deserving of it. Like I said, his numbers are out of this world, and if it's not him, I'm going Joel Embiid. I think Embiid is. I mean, he's really
a front runner for a minute.
Yeah. I mean, he's really coming out, and I mean, I know last year we were giving him a little, some criticism because of, I mean, he made a few statements about him not being recognized as the best center in the league. It's like, yo, come out and show it. And I think that this year he has done that. The reason I give Jokic the slight edge over him is because I feel like he is slightly more valuable because of the pieces that Philly has. Like Ben Simmons is he contributes just as much. Well, not just as much as Embiid, but he does bring definitely a lot to that team. So that's my top 3 right now. But I mean, I think it's time for Dame Dollar to go ahead and need to give my man that nod.
That'd be big, man. For me, man, I have to go with man, I hate to say it, but I have to go with Embiid, man. He's been playing big for me. But even though he's been down, I would base it on how long he's out. If he's out for longer than like another week or so, then I have to give it to Harden, just because we see like this is a thing of what are you doing for me now? You know what I'm saying? So even with the Rookie of the Year ladder, I seen something the other day that had LaMelo like 6, and I think it was like 1 for every week. Every other week he was 1, but since he got injured, the day after, literally he became 6. But this is a what have you done for me now league. So I want Embiid to get one, but I'm not mad if Harden comes out of nowhere and grab it. It's just gonna be tough for Harden because I don't know if they're gonna, which I feel like you would have to add in those Houston numbers, So and what went on there, but I would say Embiid if he comes back within another week or two. Nate, let me get your thoughts on that. Who you got?
Man, Embiid was my front runner for a while, but I think he's going to be injured for a little while. So, I'm going to go ahead and probably put him toward the bottom of my list. But I'm going to agree with Cop for my first two. I got Dame right now. I mean, if you look at his clutch numbers, it's just ridiculous. I mean, first,
big.
Like 60%. Other night, but like I said, he's been doing it consistently without CJ McCollum, without Nurkic, without Zach Collins. Like, their squad is not great. Like, Derrick Jones Jr. is a good athlete. Gary Trent, is starting to come along, but, they don't have a great squad.
Melo been playing big.
Melo, got to respect the OG. But, I definitely would have to say Dame right now. And then, like Kai said, Jokic at number 2. I mean, the stuff he's doing from that center position is ridiculous. But I still am kind of worried about them for playoffs. They kind of look a little too similar to last year again. Good players, but, Jamal's just so inconsistent. I don't know if he really just has the switch to just turn it on in playoffs every time like he did last year. But I wouldn't put my money on him doing that every time. But then I'm going to go number 3, James Harden. Like I said earlier in the podcast, I've been very critical, but the way he's playing and, without KD often, without Kyrie often, the way he's playing is just very beautiful basketball. And, like, they're winning games. He's making the pieces that they have fit. Like, they got DeAndre, who's basically Clint Capella, the same thing they were doing with him in Houston. Now he just throwing lobs to DeAndre, catching and finishing. He got Claxton, like Kai said, finishing and just blocking shots. So I think Harden's a big – man, he's a big catalyst for what they do, and I think he's very valuable to their team. But I'd probably say LeBron and Embiid may be out the race now. Embiid's been out, I think, a week or maybe almost 2 weeks now, and probably doing another 2. I mean, a month of the season, that's just a long time. So, I don't know if I could really give an MVP nod to that. But I say let's not sleep on Luka. And, Giannis is still actually, if they end up getting close to the top seed, they're going to give him a nod because the way he's been playing lately. But I think those are 2 sleepers.
Times in a row.
I don't think they will, but I do think he'll get heavy consideration because he's been balling as of lately. And the Bucks been winning. So, but I don't think they'll give it to him either.
I ain't gonna lie, I like that Luka though, because he literally same from last year. Nigga pretty much averaging 30, 10 and 10, but it's 29, 8 and 9. So hey, it's just going up for him.
And they're winning too.
They
winning too, so that's really what matters with the MVP.
Facts, and especially because they had that losing slump. What was it like? I wouldn't say the first part of the season, but kind of like the.
They might have lost like 7 or 8 games in a row or something.
Yeah, that was on a bad streak for a little minute. Amir, let me get your thoughts on this MVP race. Who you think is a front runner?
I don't know. The MVP, unfortunately, especially in basketball, it's so open-ended. There's not one clear type of area. It really just comes down to what the fans like the most and who's doing that most often. I would love to see Dame get it. I just think that, unfortunately, I don't think that they would give him the awards just off the strength of just like the publicity that comes along with him. I think he's just not as popular as a player, and I think that that's a lot of what this award is, although he very much so should get it. If you're going to use the word valuable, take Dame off that team, they're a lottery team. Take LeBron off the Lakers, they're a lottery team. So automatically, I think that it should be determined that way. But if it's not, then I think Joker is definitely up there. I would like to see Dame, but I think as far as performances, I think Harden would be really good look. I think that coming to this team and completely changing his game, he went from being 45 points in a game to now saying, okay, I'll do 13 to 15, but I'll do 20 assists and 10 rebounds and orchestrate and lead the team in KD's absence. So I think that definitely warrants MVP votes. I think Giannis, if he didn't win it last year, which I mean, we can have a debate on if he should have or not, but I think he this year as well. Ultimately, I think LeBron. I think, again, if you're going to talk about valuable players, then you have to have LeBron continuously in that conversation, even if he's hurt. So yeah, I think again, Luka's also a good pick. I think they're going to try and do something in younger guys and to get in the award. But I think really my top two ideally would be Dame and Harden. I think what Harden's doing personally to me is really impressive. I think he's completely changed his game. He seems to be really focused on developing the team and winning as opposed to his own specific numbers. I know he always cares about the triple-double stuff, but I get that. But he's leading them and doing well, and I think their success has been very much so dependent on his ability to change and mold and bring other guys along. And he's handled the Kyrie situation pretty well. I think Kyrie's a peculiar individual, and he's been able to work alongside him and say, hey, just trust me, I'm going to get you your looks, I'm going to get you your work, but we got to just get this ball moving, get him around. So I think he definitely should be in consideration for it. It's unfortunate, too. I think Embiid should have definitely walked away with it. I think that he is the top center in the league, even better than Joker. But that injury, he was relatively healthy throughout the season, but sure enough, he fell victim to what he always kind of does and can't really finish the season very strong. So I think that's just so yeah.
It's just like you said, it's unfortunate for him because I don't know what it is, but literally can never like play every game of the season. Not even, I wouldn't even want him to play every game of the season, but be healthy, even if you like time load managing or something, bro. Like it shouldn't be an injury every year. But let's go ahead and get on to this next one. We got the NCAA's treatment of women in their tournament for March Madness, and this was a little crazy, man. I don't know. I think we should show the pictures and stuff first and the video first of what they were doing with what they had laid out for the ladies. Then we'll give our reactions. But this is like what they were feeding them. I don't know. That looks like Salisbury steak. For the will, I used to hate that at school lunch, bro. I hated it. Then you got the men over there with filet cuts, nigga lobster mac. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like it's just crazy, you know, with the party packs and stuff that they get to players, and that's crazy. Like, you know, they literally did the bare minimum for the women. So I need to get you all's thoughts on that. And, you know, somebody who was actually at the tournament, you know, for the men, I'm going to start it off with Cop, man. Let me get your thoughts just on the NCAA and just how they initially treated the women.
Man, I'm gonna first start off by saying that the food for the men wasn't that good either. So, it wasn't.
Let's keep it a buck there. Yeah,
that's just 100. But
yeah,
man, it's totally, man. I was totally taken back and you know, just upset by the treatment that the women were getting. And the one thing that you know, it throws me off about the NCAA, it's a nonprofit organization, but they're taking in all of the revenue that's generated from the men's and women's side. So it's not like, even though the men, a lot of people, maybe certain people want to make the argument that men generate more money for the NCAA. It doesn't matter. The whole institutional organization, they have the amenities to provide. I mean, let's be real. 68 teams on both sides. Like, they could have given the women exactly what we got on the men's side, because at the end of the day, they're bringing in all the money and they have it. I mean, they had the facility, you know, they definitely have the revenue. It's a complete disgrace, man, as to how they treated these women athletes who also go out there, work just as hard, you know, and put on for their programs, just like the men do. So, I mean, like, looking at that weight room, like, I will say that the men, on the men's side, they did do. I thought they did a pretty good job with providing, you know, weight rooms. The weight room was pretty nice, but that's just ridiculous, man. I mean, and then the female athlete from the Oregon women's team, she made a great point that they said that they tried to make an excuse as to there wasn't enough space, it wasn't the funding for a weight room, and then she proved in the video it was more than enough space. I mean, We stayed in it was a convention center attached to all the hotels, and I'm pretty sure that the women had a similar setup. So space was not the issue. It's just a total, just a disgrace, like I said, and it shows how much progression we need to still fight for, and to fight for equal rights, for gender equality, racial equality, and all, and the list goes on. So I mean, I was definitely taken back by it, and the women athletes deserve much better.
Yeah, Nate, let me get your thoughts on that, man. Let me just with everything that went down with the treatment of the other women.
Man, I think Kai hit it right on the head, man. When you NCAA is one entity, and I think that's kind of where the line has to get drawn, and as opposed to the WNBA and NBA, while they are affiliated, they're two separate entities, right? So obviously the pay scale is going to be different. They're two separate businesses, business models. However, the NCAA is one central unit, so for them to even try to treat men and women differently was just, like Kai said, just disgraceful. And like their excuse for it, not enough room, when she clearly proved that there was enough room, more than enough room to get a much more solid weight room set up than they had in there. And it just really didn't make any sense for something like that to happen. Like I said, it's 68 teams. They bring in billions of dollars from maybe one or two games. Sometimes we're talking about you get to the Final Four, you get to the Elite Eight, you're bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars worth of revenue off people that aren't getting paid. And then, the women, they're working hard, just as hard as the men, as Kai said. So, for them to get the short end of the stick, which is often a issue in society, whether it's race, whether it's gender, like Kai was talking about, people always end up getting the short end of the stick. And in this situation, it was just unfair because, they got invited to the same tournament the men did, the exact same tournament, the exact same number of teams, different cities. So for them to get a different setup and think that people wouldn't find out about it is the worst part about it. With social media and, the way everything is these days, like I feel like, yeah, they just definitely didn't put in enough effort, and they clearly just didn't care enough, which is something that needs to be addressed between the NCAA.
Yeah. Amir, let me get your thoughts on this. My bad. I'm looking down. I'm trying to do some math and stuff like that because I got some fire for these niggas, man.
No, I mean, to be frank, I think that shit's fucked up, to be honest.
For sure.
The bare minimum you do is when you host these type of events, like to give what these athletes need. I think Nate and Cop both said like they work just as hard as the men. To be honest, I think an argument can be made that they work harder because, to be honest, we know that a lot of these guys may not go to the NBA, but a lot of them are able to. We know that that's a possible opportunity after the fact. For basketball, specifically the WNBA, it's just now getting the publicity because we have a lot of our figurehead NBA athletes endorsing it, but the pay is incomparable. I mean, I think in many ways I make right now what a lot of the top players in the WNBA make, which is also crazy. So the least you can do is the tournament is respectful enough to give them the things that they need. Like they're giving them Salisbury Steak. These are D1 athletes, like the top female athletes in the world in many ways, in the country at the very least, are being represented, and you're giving them Salisbury steaks and frozen vegetables. Like that's crazy. And then on top of that, the workout, like that was nuts. When I saw it, I honestly thought it was a joke. So I was like, ain't no way that they gave them one dumbbell set. Don't even
for an entire 68 team tournament. Like when I saw that, I'm like, yo, there's no like who edited this, bro? Like when I saw that, I was like, who edited this?
Yeah.
I mean,
Can you talk about it? Like I know we got two agents in the building, but like I'm sure we all know, like, bro, weights, y'all have sponsors for that. Y'all don't even pay for the weights that are in the gyms at these other schools. Y'all couldn't go to Indianapolis or wherever the place is and take the weights out of the gym that are not being used right now because I doubt
Indianapolis, where they're headquartered.
Yeah,
man.
Headquartered.
You know what I'm saying? Take some weights from one place and put them somewhere else to make sure that the ladies have things that they need. Like I just think it's bullshit, and I think that's why I know we're gonna go into this last point later, but I think that's where it shows like the NCAA doesn't deserve these players. They don't deserve the guys, and they definitely don't deserve the women. So I'm glad that they got what they needed. I'm glad that they were able to push through and get all the stuff that helped keep them in tip-top shape so they can continue to compete and give us a good quality product on the screen. But that's fucked up, and I hope that the NCAA pays for this in the long run.
Hey,
yeah, and I feel like they won't pay for it just because I guess they did like add on to the weights and stuff, and I don't know if they changed what they've been feeding them, but they added on to the weights and stuff, and all the girls was like, oh yeah, like AJ, like bro, fuck all that. I'm talking about how you initially treated me. I don't care that you changed the way you treated me. Let's talk about how you treated me from the jump. Initially, you know what I'm saying? So you are. What was you saying, Cott?
I'm saying that's how you really feel is what's done initially. You know what I mean?
Sure.
To complain and you know, put it on social media, them take hella heat for them to even, you know, do something about it. So I mean that's ingenuous at that point.
So it's like facts, bro. It totally ingenuine. I'm happy you said that. And it's like, bro, if that's what y'all on, bro, like first off, I'm thinking all the way to myself. I'm like, bro, why do colleges even feel like they should be like have the NCAA over them? Like, bro, I wouldn't like, bro, I'm not about to talk to y'all. I'm about to talk to these schools and bust this bag down with these schools I'm about to play against. Like, bro, I don't need y'all because they allegedly they give back 96% back to the division and the colleges, well, to the conference and the colleges and stuff like that. Which I don't know. That seems a little cap to me, and they only keeping 4%. But still, what was that? 2019 when they made like over $1 billion. That's still $40 million. You know what I'm saying? So that the NCAA is just taken in by themselves, and it's like, bro, y'all can't keep doing this. Like Amir said, we're gonna get to this later on, like talking about the future of the NCAA, but they can't keep doing this, bro, because this is like. The way that they treated them was just foul, bro. And if nobody would have posted a video, we would have never known. And it's like it just double downs on how much they even feel because they know what type of times we are in. The phones is out every day. Every second of it, it's a phone out, bro. Everything is being covered. So they're willing to risk, like, man, we about to get these shorties just little 10 dumbbells. And hey, it is what it is. They don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, bro. Like, that's what they were cool with from the jump. So I feel like the girls did themselves a disservice by positioning themselves in another way to demand more from them. I get it. I get the boys are the cash cow. I totally get it. But when it's something that's not for profit, of course, well, I'm going to say this. Since the boys are the cash cow, probably – I'll say more money will probably be allocated towards the cash cows. But it's like, bro, this is a non-for-profit. You got to spread this cheese out, bro. You can't just you can't give college students, like, I don't know, bro. Amir, this is like eating that Spelman and going and eating the West End. Like, bro, you can't. I think
to your point, it's like,
what are you doing?
Yeah, and I know we're gonna talk about this topic later, but I really don't like the NCAA sometimes. But I think the thing is the point you just made, you're saying, okay, well, the guys are the cash cows, so they need to be treated as such. If you want to treat them as such, then pay them.
Facts.
Don't pick how you want to treat the cash cows, as we call them, or as the top tier guys, and say, well, you know, they generate the most money. Well, clearly you decide that in other situations, because football, they generate even more money than that. But
yeah. Hey, Amir, real quick. And if you're not paying them, not, hey, they got to go this way, then that kind of embodies a little slave mentality. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like we just free labor. We free labor.
I think
pretty much.
Well, they gonna throw
$40 million
scholarship. They gonna throw in the scholarship amenities every time. That's
cool. That's cool. But let's think about the kids that really benefit. Well, I say for some kids that's in there that's playing for the NCAA, it's cool. Just because some of them it's not their aspiration to go on and be a pro star. Some of them just want 10,000, some cut off their tuition. But it's not like a school like University of Michigan. It's pretty much free now. If your family makes less than $60,000, you could go to U of M for free. This is a public university. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they can't keep playing that. Well, bro, we get them scholarships. No, bro, these schools is turning free now. So I could get if it's like a private school like Morehouse, where at Morehouse you got to pay 50 bands. But bro, these big PWIs are free. You know what I'm saying? So they can't keep. Bro, you got the scholarship right here. Why would I take a $50,000 scholarship? Let's say if I'm a one and done, and we going, like we said, I hate we talking about it, but we're gonna get to it in the
and we might as well just make that the topic right now.
Yeah, we gonna bring it in too, just the future of the NCAA as well. But why would I take 50,000, especially if I'm speaking from a one and done perspective? And let's say if the institution I'm going to is $50,000 a year, which is totally not realistic because PWIs and public institutions are not $50,000 a year. So let's say I'm taking a $50,000 scholarship as opposed to taking $300,000 to $400,000 playing in the G League. Are you out your mind? And I could profit off of it. I could throw camps in. Like, come on, bro, is you stupid?
You're touching on a point that I really would like to get Nate and Cott's opinion on because they're well on their way to representing these guys, and I'm very much so trying to get to that point. But my argument is just that if you don't want to look at me for what I am or what I'm representing this individual to be, then we will have to make the best decision for that individual and their families. A lot of these guys are coming from backgrounds where they are literally the first person in their family to make money at the level that they're going to be making it at. So for you to then sit back and say, okay, well, we're not going to pay you, but yet we still want you to represent UNC, represent. Well, then what's the benefit? We might as well just get him out of here now and go somewhere that he's get paid and then still preserve your body, be trained properly, be in the position where you're developing that professional development, and then go into the draft a year later because the NBA is going to need you regardless, whether you're hurt, whether you haven't really developed too much. So I really want to get their opinions, but I think that young culture, that whole people going to Duke because that's how you ride the wave, I think that's over. Yeah. A lot of
real quick before I let Kai and Nate chime in.
Yeah.
Do y'all know how much money Zion would have made if he didn't go to Duke that 1 year? Bro,
at least
he
30.
was
At least 30.
Superstar. He probably would have made tens of millions of dollars. And he made over $100-some million for well over that because the one game that they played against UNC, just off the tickets they sold for the arena did $23 million.
Obama,
so you know what I'm saying?
Obama was the vibes.
All right, so let me chime in on this one, man. I'm in agreement. I do think the general concept of the NCAA is very poorly executed and poorly ran. Like, I do believe that the majority, athletes in general, if their schools are getting paid for it, they should get paid for it because at the end of the day, I can be a student on scholarship at a university and have a job, right? And I can make money. Or if I was just a famous person at a university, I could still be famous. Go on Instagram right now and license my my likeness, right? So why shouldn't they be able to? But I will say that I'm not completely over the NCAA because I do think it's a very viable option for a lot of people. Like, you got to think, NBA is 60 draft spots a year. You feel me? And 30 of those not guaranteed in the second round. In the NBA in general, there's only 450 roster spots. You feel me? So that's not that many compared to how many thousands of NCAA D1 athletes there are. So I will say it is a viable source for a lot of people. The percentage of chance of you going to the NBA is just not very high. We often talk about the NCAA. We're often only talking about the 1 year dudes, So your Zions, your RJ Barretts, but you got to address the entire NCAA population. There's dudes and there's good things, but there's obviously terrible things about the NCAA. Like, you're not getting paid, obviously, while you're in school. You got to act like a professional, carry yourself accordingly, but there's some advantages, right? So say you're a dude that went to a small school for like 3 or 4 years. That college community loves you. You got fans forever. So even if you don't go on to the NBA, You feel me? You could go overseas, you could play, you feel me? But you could come back and be a celebrity in whatever town you are. You know, say you a Fred VanVleet, you went to Wichita State 4 years, you built up this huge brand in Kansas. Now you're a brand, you know, somewhere that you may not have had a market share before. So I do think that the NCAA is valuable from that standpoint. Because if you're good to that community, not only do you have the NBA community that you're drafted into, but you have a completely another community behind you. You know, like those fans, they do ride hard. Like the Dukies, you know, the UNC people, they're crazy. You know, like those are the type of fans that when you get to the NBA, they're still supporting you. That's why the Jason Tatums, you know, they sell a lot of jerseys. That's why the Kemba Walkers or the UConns, they sell a lot of jerseys because they had ties to universities, you know. But, you know, in the grand scheme, I do think the one and done, that is a flawed system. I do think that you should, if you're able to go to the NBA fresh out of school, by all means, you know, I think you should. Like a dude like Imani Bates, he should never have to touch college. He should really never even have to touch the G League. He should be able to get drafted fresh out. You know, like you could tell by certain guys, but at the same time, you know, there was a period where people were drafting dudes fresh out of high school and they weren't ready, and they never were ready. So
Darius Miles.
Yeah, like the NBA. Well, he was productive, all right. You know, Darius did his thing.
I wasn't rocking with D Miles, bro. I'm sorry.
But you know, so like at the end of the day, like we got to look at the NCAA for its entirety. They do have a lot of issues, but I will say in the grand scheme, the scholarship, it's not right. Like, you know, the big time programs should get paid, but then you got to go to like the small programs, like a Howard University or like a Spelman. How do you allocate what those dudes are getting paid when they don't, you know, necessarily make revenue? That's going to kill the small schools if you start paying all the big schools. You know, no one's ever going to go to a small school, so if they're not getting paid. So, you know, there's a lot of things we got to hammer out when it comes to paying NCAA athletes. That there's a lot of details there, but you know, they do deserve to get paid. But you know, the small schools are going to get destroyed. They're not going to get any talent if they're, you know, they don't have the same resources.
But I feel like even as a small school saying that they deserve to get paid, so cool. Let's say that they do get paid, but it should be based on the amount of dollars they bring in. So, okay.
But that's what I'm saying. You'll never go to a small school though. Like no one will ever try to go to a small school.
But everybody don't got the opportunity to go to big schools.
But that's
like you said, like you know what I'm saying? Like everybody don't got the opportunity to go to these big schools. And I'm just purely speaking like D1. I ain't talking like D2 and D3 because I know those are, you know what I'm saying, totally different situations. But D1 for sure, bro. Like you should be getting paid.
But we have some people, for example, right? You know, it's people that went to Howard, like a dude like RJ Cole, you know, went to Howard. He had some you know, mid-tier D1 offers. He decided to go to a school like a HBCU, you know. We don't really bring it. Our basketball team at Howard, you know, no offense, we barely bring in revenue because we're not on national TV. You know, we don't really pay, you know, ticket stands to get inside the arena. You know, like they're not bringing in much revenue. So it's like, why would I ever, as a recruit, pick to go to somewhere like that? You know, like that's why it makes it hard, a catch-22 for the small schools. Because like, man, I'd rather just go try to walk on at Kentucky. You know, I'd rather just try my luck. You know, if I'm gonna get paid, you know, X, Y, and Z, 25,000. I'm never going to try to go to a small school and help them out. I'm always going to go to the big school. So it's, you know, it is a real catch-22.
For sure. Kyle, let me get your thoughts just on all this before we wrap it up.
Man, you guys made some great points. But I'm really gonna have to agree with Nate. I think that the NCAA, it does bring value to a lot of people's lives that we don't see. Because like you all mentioning, Micah, you threw in Zion Williamson. Zion Williamson is a generational player. Like there are 1 in a million Zion Williamson. So there are a lot of guys who utilize that NCAA or that full-time scholarship that they're getting from these institutions and make a great living. And which I think a lot of athletes don't take full advantage of because they get so blinded by the sight of making it to the NBA when all in all, you want to set yourself up so you can support your family in the future. That's what it's all about. But the most flawed thing that I've noticed is that, yes, although they made the case with these athletes are receiving full-time scholarships, it's 2021. You cannot survive just off a full-time scholarship. I think the major thing that needs to be changed with the NCAA is them stop being such stricklers on how these athletes are getting money. Like if there is a booster at a university who is successful and supports the team, and they have a kind heart and want to help that athlete out, then I think that should be totally fine and totally legal. That is under their jurisdiction. There's nothing illegal. If it was a regular person on the street and you decided to give the person some money, there's nothing against the law about that. But yet the NCAA and like you said, I mean, these kids are coming from all different types of backgrounds. A lot of kids come from majority of these athletes. They're coming to change the situation. They don't have the support system where they can the money isn't there. So while nook and cranny to see if these guys are receiving some type of form of payment to I mean, let's be real.
Let them.
Sometimes, right? Let them. I mean, it's certain times athletes like for instance at Howard, we used to get out of practice at 9 o'clock at night. There's the cafeteria is closed. Really, the only thing to eat is takeout. I mean, at that point in time, so have the money to do that.
Now you spending a dub or better on food at night.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And it's like how does that full-time
scholarship is paying for food?
But your scholarship covers the meal plan. The cafeteria is closed at that time. So where do you eat? So I will say that it should be based on level of your program, because let's be real. I mean, you have to. Every school doesn't have the amenities or the revenue to just throw out money. But I do think that every school, they do make enough money where they can factor that into their budget. And by the level of your program, it should be varied on that. But it definitely needs to be something that's implemented, because a scholarship, though it can set you up for the long run, you need to survive in the moment. So that's the biggest issue that I have with the NCAA. But there are a lot of positives too, as Nate said. I mean, first of all, you're creating a network. A lot of the times these student athletes, they wouldn't even go to a university if it wasn't for sports. And this it's a life-changing opportunity to get a degree, to network, and you never know who you can meet. I mean, and things like that if the athlete takes advantage of it. So I do think that the NCAA is safe just because of that regard. But I will say that I think that the top level athletes are going to stop going to universities, because they can start monetizing their likeness initially out of college. I mean, there's no point for a dude like Zion Williamson. Nate, as you brought up, or let's take a guy like Jalen Green, for instance. That was a revolutionary contract that he just signed with the G League. 5 days to come. He can get endorsements right now. He can get paid, monetize his Instagram following.
He could throw camps, so wherever he's from, he good.
Anybody could give him a Bentley if they wanted to. Anybody could give him how much money they wanted to.
500 racks, and he's making 500. But
the G League season was only 20 games, maybe.
Right, and you're getting the publicity, and you're right there. It's a direct pull to the big leagues where you're trying to go. So I think that we're going to start seeing a lot of guys, top high level athletes, take that route instead of going to a university. Like let's be real. I mean, a lot of these dudes, these one and done guys, they don't even get the full college experience. You're there for 6 months. You know what I mean?
I ain't gonna lie, bro. So, you can't, and I'm speaking personally because I know somebody who went D1 at a high level and made it to their pro sport without giving up names or anything. But off rip, it was a PWI too. Off rip, it was 200 just for coming down there. You know what I'm saying? Because he in the middle of the country, 200, and I'm talking about 200 big ones. You know what I'm saying? Just to come down there. Then let alone whatever they was dishing them, you feel me, during them 2 years, because he played football, so you got to put them 2 years in. So, bro, people ain't about to go nowhere without no cheese, bro. You about to have to start putting up some cheese. And Kyle, you said something that was just interesting to me. Like, you said y'all was getting out of practice at 9, so y'all pretty much have to do takeout every night. I used to feel bad for our guys. Because our calf, you don't want to be in there unless it's a Wednesday or a Friday. Amir, how many times did you do takeout?
We all went to the HBCU, bro. Trust me. We know.
Sodexo.
Bro, Like outside of
Dexo.
freshman year, because freshman year you ain't used to the environment. You like, damn, and we got unlimited swipes our freshman year, so it's like, man, we come in here anytime, eat whatever we, niggas wasn't caring about what they was eating in, but sophomore year and joint, like, bro, I ain't about to be eating in this month, like, bro. I didn't spend. I ain't even gonna say that, but the amount of money niggas that spent on food is ridiculous, bro. Like
this the difference between football and basketball, though, and this is why the NCAA is going to have a lot of different details to hammer out. Is because in basketball, I think you could be ready to go to the league at 18, 19. In football, I wholeheartedly don't think dudes are ready to go to the NFL that level after high school. I really do think that 2 years in football makes a lot of sense. Just in terms of just getting bigger and getting stronger and just, getting used to playing bigger guys. Like, I do think football, they're going to have to figure out a way to make that work, because you got to pay dudes to stay at that point. But there's no other alternative really for the NFL. And that's really the biggest issue for football. So, how are they going to make a uniform decision to pay every athlete in every single sport? That's going to be another thing they're going to have to iron out. So there are a lot of details to it, but, I just don't think, besides basketball, there's a lot of different alternatives. Soccer, there's also a lot of different alternatives across the world. But besides, football, NFL is really the only professional league you can go. So, like, it's kind of a direct feeder as opposed to basketball. You can go overseas. You got G League. You got a lot of different options now. So, if football is a different environment.
I think the difference between
let me get a mirror in here. Let me get a mirror in real quick before we wrap it up, because we about to wrap it up.
I think to Nate's your point real quick, I think the difference between football and basketball, from what I've seen and what I've heard, is football and basketball, they work. I mean, college football and the NFL, they work together because they know each person's relationship between the two. They know that you develop the players because the sports are so different, so that they purposely doesn't put games on Saturdays. They purposely give the season time for the college guys to have their moments on Saturdays, because they know that the return is going to come to them in the long run. I think where college basketball and the NBA are different is that they know, to your exact point, we can get this kid out of high school and he's ready to ball. Or we'd rather where he still needs to develop, because we'd rather develop him in our system than having him go and sit here and not really develop, because they're paying him because they really need him more than he needs them. And then we need to develop him another 2 or 3 years after. Picture a Jason Taylor coming out of high school, going straight to Boston at number 1. He still would have been balling, I think, even earlier, as opposed to a couple of years to come in. And I think to that point, they see that, so they've created the G League. I definitely agree with y'all. If we're looking at the some of the guys that we may know and things like that, some of these guys are able to go to college where, quite frankly, they may not have been able to go, and it changed their whole trajectory of their lives just to go to college. I'm more so talking about the guys that we know, clear cut. They come into high school ready to go to the NBA.
The one and dones. I'm in agreement with you on that. Like, the one and done shouldn't be in existence.
Yeah, in regards to the Van Vliets and the guys who made a career in college, 100% agree. And I think that's where the NCAA is going to eventually turn to, is you're going to have a lot of those guys who are going to be juniors and seniors that are actually going to be first-round talents, as opposed to first-round talents.
You're going to get a better product, because dudes don't want to be there longer, because they have more advantages to being in college. Like, they're not ready for the NBA yet, or, they think they maybe won't go to the NBA, but you're going to get better teams. And that's what you're seeing in the NCAA March Madness. A team like Loyola, they're good, they're technical, because they've been playing together for a while. So I think you get better product on both ends, but they just got to go ahead and pull that trigger already.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, we just had some good chop, man. There's a lot more that we gonna come to y'all with. We gonna say that the March Madness upsets for next episode, because I feel like we're gonna have some more coming down the pipeline very soon after this Saturday. So, man, I appreciate you all for checking in again. Like I said, we got the family back in the building. We got Kai, Amir, Nate. Make sure you go over there, follow them on all their personal IGs. Make sure you go over to National Sports Chat, follow us, like, comment, subscribe on everything. Go to Micah and Friends podcast on IG, like, comment, subscribe on everything. Go over to TOV Sports, man. Like, comment, subscribe on everything. Tell Dave we said what up. And again, AQUANO Hydrate, man, that's a sponsor. So make sure you go over there, put your order in for that. But other than that, man, we checking in and we checking out. We got another great episode in the books, and we gonna be back at y'all next week for another one. No, we have nothing else, man. Mike and friends, we checking in and checking out. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you all for tuning in, man. Checking out this podcast. Make sure you go over to YouTube, IG, like, comment, subscribe, follow us on everything. Go over there to Micah and Friends podcast on IG and National Sports Chat on YouTube. We're going to keep this content coming at you, man. Appreciate y'all for checking in.
Here is something you can't understand. How I just keep killing, man. I'm from the South Rim, spinning like ceiling fans. Gambling with life, no complaining about the dealer hand. Back when niggas used to ride around the Dipset. Now these cops